Now there's a way to measure your patient's core temperature from the inside out with intravascular temperature management. Requiring little or no nursing staff intervention, the advanced intravascular approach from Zollmedical Corporation makes it possible to rapidly and precisely control patient temperature during warming as well as cooling procedures. How is this accomplished? Using a Zoll Thermogard XP system, temperature-controlled saline is circulated in a closed loop within balloons located on a central venous catheter. The Zoll system suggests the temperature of the saline circulating within the balloons based upon the actual temperature of the patient. The patient's core temperature is then changed as the blood flows across the balloons on the catheter. No saline is infused into the patient, nor is any fluid removed from the patient. As you watch this presentation, you'll find that the procedures for setting up this system are easy and probably familiar to you. Before you set up the system, you'll need a 500 cc sterile saline bag, a Foley or rectal patient temperature probe, a startup kit, and a Zoll intravascular temperature control catheter. Now we're ready to begin. First, check the level of coolant in the coolant well. If it's below the min line, add enough distilled water to bring it to the max line. Then plug in the power cord and turn on the power switch. Operation of the Thermogard XP begins by answering a few simple questions. To respond to these questions, rotate the menu controller to highlight your answer. When your choice is highlighted, press the menu controller to select that option. Following a 10-second self-test period, the first question asks if you wish to pre-cool or pre-warm the system. For optimal results, it's very important that you begin pre-cooling or pre-warming the system at least 20 minutes before connecting the system to your patient. This ensures that the saline temperature is set at the appropriate minimum or maximum temperature extreme required when you are ready to connect the patient. To begin pre-cooling, select Pre-Cool by pressing the menu controller knob. If you plan to warm rather than cool the patient, rotate and press the knob to highlight and select Pre-Warm. But if you prefer that the saline remain at its current temperature, select None. Now the system asks you to select the target temp, which is the temperature you want the patient to reach. Rotate the menu controller until the desired temperature appears, and press the knob to select it. Next, you're prompted to select Max Power, Control Rate, or Fever. The Max Power setting can be used for both normothermia and hypothermia applications. The Max Power mode should be selected when you want to cool or warm the patient very quickly. To precisely control the rewarming rate of the patient, the setting to choose is Control Rate. Fever mode is used for controlling fever and maintaining normothermia. Any of these settings may be changed at a later time if required. Please note, during therapeutic hypothermia applications, never choose the fever mode. This is a good time to install the tubing set. First, lift the top cover of the machine. Open the startup kit and insert the heat exchanger coil into the coolant well. Then place the air trap into the air trap upholder. To load the tubing into the pump, locate the flange on the thick section of tubing. Place it into the slot on the right-hand side of the roller pump fixture. Slowly feed the tubing counterclockwise inside the raceway, approximately halfway down from the top, while simultaneously rotating the roller assembly. Then, firmly close the top cover of the pump. Using aseptic technique, spike a 500 cc saline bag. Slip the insulating jacket over the saline bag and hang the bag on the hook. Then, wait for the system to complete its self-test prior to proceeding to the next step. The self-test is completed when the system displays a screen with the word Air Trap in red. Next, remove the air trap and hold it upside down. Press and hold the prime switch. In a few seconds, the pump will begin to turn. As it slowly rotates, watch the saline move through the tubing. It will take about 2 minutes to fill both the air trap and the entire length of tubing. Once priming is complete, you may release the prime switch. Turn the air trap right side up again and place it back in its holder. The system will automatically change from the Check the Following screen to the Standby Operating screen. You will see a yellow system alert message stating that the primary probe, T1, is disconnected. This message will automatically disappear later during the setup procedure while the patient temperature probe is connected to T1. Finally, route the tubing through the notches in the front of the console and through the channel at the rear. Now you may close the top cover. Connecting to the patient. Place the catheter in the patient. The catheter may be inserted by a physician, an advanced practice nurse, physician's assistant, or other healthcare professional, depending on each state's Practice Act. Position the system near the patient's bed so that the temperature probe cables and the tubing can reach the patient. Lock the caster. Place the primary and secondary patient temperature probes in the patient. Once the probes have been placed in the patient, connect the primary temperature probe to the blue cable and plug the cable into T1. The yellow alert message on the screen will disappear. The secondary temperature control cable, if used, plugs into T2. For safety reasons, always monitor the patient with 2 temperature probes. Connect the second probe to either a hospital bedside monitor or the system, depending on your hospital protocol. Using aseptic technique, disconnect the supply and return connectors of the tubing and connect them to the saline in and out lures of the catheter. These lure connectors are keyed, making it impossible to connect them incorrectly. To begin patient treatment, press the Standby Run button. If there are 2 patient temp probes connected to the system, it will immediately go into the run mode and patient treatment will begin. However, if only 1 temperature probe is connected to the system when the Standby Run button is pressed, a warning screen will appear. This is to remind you that patient injury may result if only 1 probe is used to monitor patient temperature. If you choose not to begin patient treatment at this time, select No, and the system will remain in standby mode. But to confirm that you indeed wish to perform the patient treatment with only 1 temperature probe connected to the Thermogard system, select Yes. The system will go into the run mode and patient treatment will begin. Should you need to temporarily disconnect from the patient, first press the Standby Run button to place the system in standby mode. Then, disconnect the temperature probes from their cables. Leave the blue cables with the system. Using aseptic technique, disconnect the saline lines from the catheter and cap all lines or connect them to each other. To reconnect the patient, simply reverse this procedure and press the Standby Run button to resume treatment. At the conclusion of patient treatment, press the Standby Run button. The pump will stop turning and the standby screen will appear. Press the menu controller once and select End Procedure from the menu that appears. The data stored by the Thermogard XP must either be downloaded or deleted prior to beginning your next patient. You may choose to download the data at another time. If so, select Download Later and turn the power switch off. The next time you turn on the system, you will have the option to download your patient data. You also have the option to delete the patient trend data. Simply choose Delete and the data will be eliminated when you turn the power switch off. But if you are ready to download the patient trend data to a laptop computer, choose Download Now. Downloading data will be discussed in a separate video module. You can also refer to your system operation manual for detailed instructions on the download procedure. After turning the power switch off, use aseptic technique to disconnect both tubing connectors from the catheter and connect the tubing set connectors to each other. Do not connect the catheter lure fittings to each other. Then, disconnect the primary and secondary patient temperature probes from the blue cables. The procedure is now completed. Please note that all the steps shown here, in addition to a troubleshooting section, are reviewed in our quick reference guide conveniently located behind the display screen. Zoll thanks you for taking the time to learn the proper setup of the Thermogard XP system. For 24-hour technical support within the United States, please call 877-225-7487, extension 3. Outside the United States, contact your local distributor.